Hey everybody, RoxaBox90 here, back with some Magic the Gathering news. We have the reveal of a Duel deck coming out September 2nd, as well as the full From the Vault lore list, which we'll go into briefly here. In terms of a channel update, I'm working on the Patreon giveaway video, as well as the Eldritch Moon Top 10. Apologies for the delay on that. Life happens. Duel decks, Nissa versus Ob Nixilis. This makes a lot of sense because, in my opinion, black and green are much more of an antagonistic with one another because they are part of an ecosystem. Life into death, death into life. Very much interconnected. A lot of people think black and white are the opposites of one another, but in fact, in Magic at least, you have white, which is order and civilization, which is more a polar opposite of red, which is more of chaos and destruction, havoc. So white and red are more in conflict. Black and green are often in conflict, even though they also can work with synergistically. In terms of Nissa versus Ob Nixilis, makes a lot of sense. Their conflict is rooted in Zendikar. They have very opposing views on most things relating to Zendikar. I'm surprised they didn't focus on their more in depth about their personal conflict. But Katie Allison's article is quite adequate, going into their history as well as giving a little bit more of an emphasis of their point of putting them against one another. In terms of the decks themselves, there's new artwork for the Planeswalkers, Ob Nixilis and Nissa, and they look pretty good if you like the digital art kind of thing. I personally don't go for it. Other cards with new artworks, Crop Rotation, Wood Elves, Doomblade, Ambitions Cost are all well-played cards around the board across multiple formats. Very cool to see those. In terms of value for the set, it's really not there. I don't know the final price for these, if it's $20, $25, or maybe even $30. The card value just isn't there, in my opinion. If you're getting them to play and you want to some kind of constructed deck to be able to play with, that's one thing. But in terms of the card value itself, I just don't see it in this set. In terms of From the Vault lore, for those who've been following, they pretty much just teased us, said, hey, it's coming out in August. Here's artwork that you can... It maybe is Momer Vig, maybe it's Deep Analysis, who knows. $34.99 MSRP to just pretend that that would actually be the case in most stores, which it usually is not. In terms of the list itself, let's go through. There's a great article here. He goes into detail. Katie Allison goes into detail on the cards. Definitely recommend checking out, linked down below. Very briefly, Beseech the Queen. Great card, very, very good card for Commander. Surprised that as a lore card, this is here. Yes, it does show Una and Manipulator of the Great Aurora, which, as you know, was printed much, much later in Origins. I didn't expect them to print newer cards. These sets are really meant for older, the more story-driven, where the cards in the story are a little bit more deeply entwined. Lore and Shadowmoor here, I was kind of surprised it chose Beseech the Queen. Great card. Don't really see the lore implication, but maybe I'm missing something. Cabal Ritual. The Cabal were really entwined, very much so, with the Odyssey block. They were involved with the Cabal story arc, and they themselves are represented across multiple blocks in Magic. Good card to see here. Conflux is Nicol Bolas. This is the Alara tie-in, and to be honest, we didn't need another reprint of Nicol Bolas in a set like this. I personally think Conflux was a good choice. Dark Depths and Marit Leech, just as the money of the set. This card, sure, it works in terms of lore. We've been wanting for a reprint. It's worth a lot of money. It'd be nice to see in the set. I think this card single-handedly will raise the MSRP price in most stores to $75 to $100, just having this in the set with the token. Great pick, though, Wizards. Definitely a home run. Glissa the Trader. Now, this is some issues in terms of the Mirrodin / Phyrexian arc. They have a bunch of cards here. Some of them I'm very surprised about. So Glissa the Trader is an example of a card. If you have Glissa the Trader, so Glissa Sunseeker, Glissa the Trader, either one is a choice. I mean, Glissa Sunseeker ties in more with the original Mirrodin, and Glissa the Trader is more the eventual corruption and destruction of damage to the plane, as well as the Phyrexian infestation. So it makes sense to have her, but having her and Memnarch in the same thing doesn't really make sense to me, to be honest. Having two cards like that, no. Memnarch represents, at its core, it was created by Karn, it was infected by Phyrexia, and ended up turning against its maker and turning against the plane it was made to managing and protect. That works. Having multiple cards here I think is unnecessary. As you'll notice, there's some other cards I think should have maybe been there. Hellvault, instead of having Avacyn and Grizzlebrand or one or the other, Hellvault sums up the conflict pretty well in one card. Great flavor and good to have in the set, makes sense. Mind's Desire, it's the Mirari, so the artwork here is supposed to focus on that. To be honest, they should have probably just put the Mirari if they wanted to go there. Surprised they chose Mind's Desire, but hey, it's not the end. I guess not the end of the world. Momor Vix and McVisionary ties Ravnica perfectly together. Maybe it could have been. I mean, it could have been any other guild leader, but Momor Vix is a good choice and a big commander staple with new artwork. Near-death experience is Gideon in the Zendikar conflict. Did we need to have this of all cards? This card is just not good. Is the bigger problem. It's not good, and yes, it has the flavor, but there are a lot of other cards around the Zendikar block that have flavor. This is a weird choice. Obliterate is a fantastic choice. This card should have probably been in the Annihilation set, but the fact is Baron and his moment where he loses everything because he helps Urza, comes around and ends up killing himself, blowing up Talaria, is amazing. It really is an amazing story moment, one of the more powerful emotional story arcs of Magic the Gathering as a whole, and it's encapsulated brilliantly in this card. It's a good choice in my opinion. Phyrexian Processor is not so much. Really, not so much the kind of card. I mean, yeah, sure, Commander and such, but there's a lot of other Phyrexian cards we'll get to that I think are better for the lore versus this one. Talaria West, same question. Why do we have multiple cards around the similar conflicts in similar places? There's a lot of Magic to cover, and it seems like they're doubling up things. Obliterate and Talaria West. Umezawa's Jete, great card. Really could use a reprint. Glad to see that they're pulling in the Umezawa thing. Now, in terms of, I'll just wrap up here quickly before I get to my points. Unmask, this was a little unusual. Mercadian Mask, Volrath, as you know, is a shapeshifter, and he decides to shapeshift and disguise as Takara in order to murder Stark, and this is that in action. Sure, fine, it was a big card back in the day. I can see why they would put it in here, especially to cover off on a rather obscure block. But some other things in terms of the Talaria stuff. Obliterate's good, but if you're going to have the conflict, you should have either Phyrexian Arena, my opinion, Gerard Capuchin if you're going to go with a key figure of the invasion block, or the Legacy Weapon, which encapsulates everything all together. Honestly, the Legacy Weapon would have been, I think, the best choice to cover off of. If you have Obliterate to make things personal, this would have been really good. That which is taken is the core crux of the Kamigawa block conflict. Much more. If you're going to have Konda or that which was taken, I think they would have been good as well. If you're going to be doubling things up, even though Jete is a needed reprint, I can see why they did it. In terms of Phyrexia, as I said, Legacy Weapon, Elish Norn would have been really good. Even Karn would have been great in terms of continuity across multiple sets and important lore figures and lore function of cards, even though I can see why Karn might not have been the best of choice for this, but others may be. Mirari, as I already said. Deicide, I think if they were going to make one token card, one card that's for one of the newer sets that really killed it in terms of story, flavor, function, lore, Deicide would have been my pick. And lastly, Jessica is an awful card. If they had to have a filler card, Jessica is a crucial figure to the Magic story arc. She's literally the tying point between the new Planeswalkers and the older arcs and the new arcs. Why they wouldn't choose someone like her or a card related to her, I was not sure why. So as you can see, I was a little bit confused about some of the choices on this list. Overall, I think it's a solid list. It's definitely going to be worth a little bit of money. Some of the cards are really good. And let me know what you guys think about this list. Do you agree? Anything you think you would have swapped out? Anything you disagree with in terms of from Wizards, the set, or from my point of view? Either way, happy to hear it. Go down below to the comment section, put your thoughts there, and if you enjoyed the video, please tap the like button. If you're new to the channel, check in and subscribe. As always, RoxyBox90 signing out. I'll see you guys next time.